Who doesn't love a good old-fashioned summer barbecue? Invite
Everyone
me,
loves it.
I will be there, right? But even your favorite summer foods, you could say they're polluting the planet.
Yeah.
So what are we having this weekend? Hot dogs, brats, hamburgers, rack of ribs. Oh, sounds so good.
Look at the beef, though.
I know. So if you look at that, we hate to admit it, but the animal byproducts and the products here are big contributors of greenhouse gases. Beef's obviously way up there. With all the environmental dangers of meat production, many Americans are switching to a meatless diet. In fact, a recent survey through Cornell University found as many as 1 in 10
I'm surprised
Americans.
by that. 1
I
in
thought that was
10.
high as well.
Yeah.
They've ditched eating meat, and while giving up meat cold turkey may seem pretty daunting for some of us, with the right plan and the right recipes, eating meatless can actually be healthy and maybe delicious.
And joining us today is plant-based dietitian, nutritionist, and owner of purelyplanted.com, Nichole Dandrea-Russert. Nichole, always good to see you. And wow, what a watermelon you got there. We were looking and we were like, that thing looks tasty. First, though, let's start off with the meat. Why do you prioritize being meatless?
Yes, and thanks for having me today, Steph and Jordan. It's so good to be here. I know that watermelon's like front and center. It's so big, but it's so good. Meatless. It's so important to incorporate some plants into your diet, not just for health reasons, but also, as you mentioned, because of the climate. So meat is such a big contributor to climate change just because we need so much land to produce the amount of meat, the same amount of meat that we need to produce the same amount of plants. For example, the meat requires much more land space. So that's taking away our trees. It's minimizing that carbon sequestration that the trees have a major impact on. It also pollutes waters, it pollutes our air. So all of these things you're mentioning is one reason, one of many reasons why it's important to incorporate more plants into your diet. And it doesn't have to be all or nothing. It can just be swapping out some meat with plant-based foods.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking of an idea here. If I were to just kind of dabble in the idea, you could start off by maybe doing a day of the week where you go completely meatless. Would another option be maybe just doing smaller meat portions with larger plant-based portions on that plate, and then over time just dwindling that meat portion? That makes sense?
Absolutely, Jordan. I love that tip. Yeah, absolutely. I think that we've been so trained to make meat the center of our plate, but if we shift that to making plants the center of our plate and still having some meat, at least you're still getting some of that meat, so you don't feel like you're depriving yourself. If meat's something that you truly enjoy, at least you're getting a little bit, but you're not having a bigger impact. So small changes make a big impact on both the planet and your health. So making the meat portion smaller, so reducing your meat consumption and making the plants the center of your plate. As you can see how beautiful plants are, it really makes a beautiful decorative plate as well. But it's also, all of those colors are so good for our health.
Okay,
Nicole,
so let's talk about some of the things that you have in front of you, because a lot of people might say, I'm not going to get enough nutrients if I'm only eating plant-based.
Yeah, that's definitely a common question, Steph. Thanks for bringing that up as well. So if you're swapping, so we've got 3 different categories here. If you're swapping protein for protein, you can absolutely, when I just put this out there right now, you can absolutely get plenty of protein from plant-based foods. And it doesn't even have to be the highest protein plant-based foods. Just by eating a variety of plant-based foods, you can get plenty of protein, as well as tons of antioxidants that fight inflammation, are good for health, and are better for the planet. So things, for example, bean burgers, lentil burgers, all kinds of beans, any kind of bean, edamame beans are all a great 1-to-1 protein swap for meat. So getting plenty of protein plus other nutrients there. Also, soy products. Another myth is that soy products aren't good for you. Organic soy products are wonderful for you. Tofu, tempeh, miso, they're wonderful products. And tofu and tempeh make great meat substitutes because they're high in protein and a lot of nutrients like B12 and minerals. And we've got all of this that we also combine with a great texture, like a meat-like texture. You've got a perfect package. And then we have meaty substitutes. So think about vegetables that have like a meatier texture. So eggplant and mushrooms, portobello mushrooms are delicious on the grill. So swapping them in place of meat. So just marinating them in any type of marinade that you love. They're going to take on the flavors.
Mushrooms. You can make taco meat. People don't know the difference. It's true story.
I've done that before, actually.
Mushrooms.
I remember I did that one time.
Yeah. Lion's mane mushroom makes a great shredded meat-like texture, as well as jackfruit. So we've got jackfruit here, and jackfruit we have, it's like a pulled pork or a pulled chicken, and add your favorite barbecue sauce to it. It has a very neutral flavor, but a meaty texture. Yeah, so good. Such a great meat substitute. And then, are you ready for the next one? The festive fruits and other vegetables. So if you want to go more festive or bring something fun and flavorful to the party this weekend, 4th of July weekend, grilled watermelon, any grilled fruit, really. Grilled peaches.
This is so
Peaches are in
weird to
season
me.
right now.
Grilled pineapple is really
pineapple.
good. That's popular.
I like
Yes.
pineapple on my pizza.
Oh my gosh.
But grilled is just odd.
Well, and Jordan, it brings out some of that natural sweetness. So if you
Yeah.
just like lightly char the fruits on either side, and the center gets nice and juicy and sweet, it's so good. Especially paired actually with some of these savory items like grilled pineapple and marinated tofu is like the most delicious thing on the planet. And then you can also grill things like cauliflower steaks or cabbage steaks. The trick with these is just to keep that stem, that core intact, and they will come out like a steak. Marinate them, brush them with a little bit of oil, add some of your spices and rubs to them, your favorite things. And it's about adding the flavors.
It's good.
So adding all the flavors that you love. Yeah, it's so good. You can really transform any plant-based food into a similar texture and flavor profile that your meat offers by adding those spices and flavorings that you love.
I do the cauliflower rice. That's kind of like a main substitute I've been doing a lot more of, just because to get rid of certain carbs. Okay, let's go to the conversation of like the parenting idea, right? So how do I go about that? Obviously, trying to introduce foods to picky eaters can be so darn tough. My kids, thankfully, are just automatically vegetarians and they'll dabble with meat, so they kind of do a lot of that on their own. But what if you have kids that are like just majority meat eaters? How do you introduce more without forcing it down their throats so that they actually enjoy it?
I think, getting kids to be a part of the process, first of all, is so important in the kitchen. So Stephanie, you mentioned tacos. If you lay out a taco bar and add some barbecued jackfruit or barbecued pulled mushroom in that mix and have them pick and choose what they want to fill their own taco plate, or maybe it's a pasta station, or maybe it's a sandwich station, but put out those offerings and let them decide, but incorporate some of those flavors that they know and love.
Yeah.
You know that they love the meat version, so incorporate those same flavors, but the plant-based version. So try to find similar textures and flavors that they know and love, and let them make the decision.
The hardest part is being patient, I think, getting them involved with the cooking process and all of that too. Nichole Dandrea-Russert, plant-based dietitian, nutritionist, and owner of purelyplanted.com. We appreciate it.